Hello, SGDQ. This is The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages, any percent. I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself and my commentator after we start the run. But before that, a few things I need to do to get ready. I need to hard reset my console. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get there. And then I need to copy this file here. Because this file name is important. We'll get to that in a bit as well. And then I'm going to choose the fastest text speed because we're speedrunning. But I think I'm ready to start the timer in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, this is Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages. I am GlyphDX, and with me is my commentator.
Hello, I am Mashy. I will be helping out with commentary for this run.
Sick. So this is Oracle of Ages. It's a bit of a lesser-known Zelda game compared to the other titles in the franchise. Kind of like Pokemon titles, this game was released with a sister game at the same time, Oracle of Seasons, and you could use codes or a link cable to connect them and get bring secrets from one game to the next. It's pretty neat, but I'm just gonna be playing Oracle of Ages today. This game has gone through a lot of changes since its last appearance at a GDQ in 2016, and a lot of changes in the past 6 months or so. You want to talk a little bit about that, Mashy?
Yeah, so back in the day, we did a run. We did a trick called the Varan Warp, which let us skip all the way to the final boss after beating the 6th dungeon. We're going to do something a little bit similar, except now we're going to be doing an arbitrary code execution credits warp. So we're not even going to fight the final boss. That file name that Glyph copied over, that's going to come into play when we do the credits warp later on. The route itself has also had a handful of revisions. There was a trick called D2 skip that used to be very, very difficult. It used to be double frame perfect, sub-pixel manipulated, pixel perfect, RNG manipulated, all this nonsense. We found a way to do it a lot easier. So we're going to be doing it in this run. It's so much better now. A handful of other things also got found because we figured out that there's an item in the game that really helps us out that speedrunners never used to get. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on.
So yeah, another thing about this game is that it has RNG manipulations, which we'll be doing throughout the entire run, here and there. Basically, essentially this game, the RNG values are very predictable. Only certain actions influence RNG and roll it. And when we hard reset our console, it puts the RNG at a known state, which is why I hard reset before I started the run. And hard resetting is just basically turning your console off and on again, or hitting the reset button on a GameCube when I'm using a Game Boy player like I am. And that puts RNG at a known state, and by slashing my sword, I can actually listen for sword slash tones. There's a high, mid, and low tone. And by listening for specific patterns, I can tell exactly which RNG pattern I'm on, be able to manipulate things that would otherwise be basically tasks only. And we'll be seeing that throughout the run.
And there's a handful of other things that help influence RNG. Changing screens will change the RNG, enemy patterns, enemy movement, digging up items, slashing bushes, things like that. Anything that will produce an item will call the RNG in order to determine whether or not the drop happens or what drop you're going to get. One of the big things that we're looking for with this first RNG manipulation is digging up 100 rupees. So you can randomly find 100 rupees digging in the ground. If you do it without manipulating it, it could take a very long time to find one. But thankfully, we know exactly what we need to do in order to dig up that 100 rupees. This game requires a lot of rupees in order to complete this run. So we're going to be getting a couple of those throughout the run.
Yeah, other than that, we actually have time for 1 or 2 donations as I'm just kind of making my way through this intro.
Awesome. I have all kinds of donations here, including this one from Dodge, who sent in $100 and says, Paper Mario, which is our first bonus game that we are trying to unlock. Actually, we are still working on that. We are currently sitting at $26,584.21 out of the $50,000 we're looking for to unlock that incentive. So please do remember, when you are getting your donations in for Doctors Without Borders, to click on that incentive. Let's get more games done quick.
Awesome. Appreciate that. So now I'm actually going to travel back in time here. It's one of the main gimmicks of this game is being able to travel back and forth through time. Right now, I need to use like a portal that the Maku tree gives me, but soon I'll be able to kind of just do it whenever I want, with limitations. But we'll see that going forward. But right now, I'm making my way towards what's it called? The Black Tower, I think is the name.
Yeah, the Black Tower.
To get a shovel, which is an important item in this game. I'll be using a shovel quite a bit, actually.
So there's a whole subplot here with the Queen of the Land building this big black tower that's going to try and rule over the whole world. And none of it really matters because we're speedrunning. So we're going to pretty much ignore most of the plot points about this game.
Right there, you saw me slash my sword a bunch of times. I was listening for specific sword tones to get the big rupee here in just a bit after I get the shovel.
Fun fact, in that little cutscene with the tower, if you see lightning flashing, that actually is indicative of the RNG changing. So you have to pay attention to that. If you mash too slowly, you're going to end up seeing lightning there.
Right. Also, on the title screen, I mash the title screen as quickly as possible because it rolls RNG once per frame. There's the rupee. And so whenever I do an RNG manipulation, usually I want to mash through it. And if I mash too slowly, sometimes I'll get some lightning there, but usually I don't. I'm actually going to try to continue this RNG manipulation to get another 100 rupees. It's a little bit difficult. I'm going to do my best. It can be a little bit tricky sometimes.
And the reason why this is tricky is because keys are notorious for calling RNG every other frame. So in order to keep this going and get the RNG manipulation in a reasonable place, you want to get through any room with keys as fast as possible. Luckily, there are a couple different frames that we know, so we're able to have a little bit of leniency.
Nice.
And the way we tell what frame we're on is on the pattern of those gels in the room to the next to the keys room. The way they're lined up is going to tell us exactly where we're at.
Everything seems to work out, so I should be pretty good. All right. So this is the Maku tree. We talked to her earlier while we were in the present, but now she's a baby. But yeah, she gave us a portal so we can go back to the present. And I'm gonna try to get another 100 rupees here. Nice. Good start.
And so in this cutscene, he moved a little bit over to the left, and that's because the Maku tree here is going to be giving us the seed satchel. And if, depending on which half of the screen you're on, it'll drop on a different side. So if you move a little bit to the left, it'll spawn on the right-hand side, and it's a little bit faster to grab. It used to be that we wanted the satchel to spawn on the left-hand side in the old route because it influenced a glitch much later on. But we don't have to worry about that anymore. Also, in the old route, we used to use the English version, and if you notice, we're using the Japanese version this time. That's because text is faster, and we found the credits warp, which works in both versions.
Right. And the old glitch that we used to do was called Varan Warp, and it was super, super finicky. It would crash, it would brick your cartridge, it would do all sorts of things. It was not a fun trick. But we found some better setups later on that had less of a chance of crashing, but it still wasn't very good. Luckily, the arbitrary code execution we do nowadays, if you do it correctly, it doesn't have any chance of crashing. It's really convenient for marathon runs. And now I'm just going to make my way over to Dungeon 1. I don't actually need to beat all the dungeons, and we'll see later. I actually only beat 3 dungeons. But I do need to beat this one. Also, I'm still technically in an RNG manipulation from earlier, so I actually know what these patterns are going to be. The enemy patterns are. By slashing my sword twice in this room, and moving over to the room with the ghost up here, he always spawns in a good spot. But at this point, I'm not continuing the RNG manipulation. Isn't really worth it because this room up here has keys, and yeah, it would not be a fun time trying to manipulate after this room.
Yeah, you can't really move frame perfectly through this room, so you kind of lose the RNG manipulation no matter what. Another thing to really note here is he's going to be going a little bit out of his way to kill enemies. That's because we're looking to spawn Maple after this dungeon. Maple is a witch. She'll fly around on her broomstick on certain screens in the overworld. If you bump into her, she'll drop some items. She spawns after you kill 30 enemies, so you want to kill as many as you can in this dungeon in order to make her spawn. And we're going to be doing that in order to get 2 different things. Number 1, we're going to be looking for a ring. This game has 64 different rings. A lot of them are useless, but there are a few that are pretty useful. There's ones that will heal you as you walk. There's ones that increase your damage power. There's ones that increase your decrease the amount of damage you take, stuff like that. The one we're looking for is called the Power Ring Level 2, which increases your sword damage, but also increases the amount of damage you take. It's a bit of a trade-off, but it's definitely worth having.
I need to get this fairy. That wasn't very elegant, but whatever. I'll kill this guy. I should have enough enemies.
But yeah, we were looking for the Power Ring Level 2, as well as getting a drop of a potion. Potion is mostly for safety in this route, but in the All Essences category, where you do every dungeon, a potion is required in order to get access to dungeon number 7.
Doing another hard reset here because I'm going to start another RNG manipulation for the ring match we're talking about. Because the items Maple drops are random, so I need to manipulate RNG to get the items I need. So now I have the power bracelet. It lets me pick up rocks, and that's about it. Heading towards the boss, this is Pumpkinhead up here. If I do it right, I should get a 1 cycle. Just like that. And we got our first essence.
Yeah, the great thing about that boss is the pumpkin, when you throw it at the ghost against the wall, it'll do a double hit. You really only need 1 extra sword slash in there to get the 1 cycle.
And here I'll need a little bit of silence so I can listen for sword slashes. I tend to mess this one up. Should be okay, though. Okay. Here we go. We also got some money, because we'll need a lot of money, like I said. Which is pretty convenient. But we can't actually use the ring yet. We have it, but we can't use it. That's because we need to get appraised. And the person who appraised it is Fasu. So we need to go to that guy first. Normally, the way Vastu works is that you have to pay him some money and he will tell you what ring you have. But conveniently, the first time is free. Also, he's really weird in that he kind of starts talking and stops talking at different intervals. And you can actually talk to him a second time in between his text boxes. I didn't get it that time, thankfully. But if that happens, then the action of talking to him again will take place after the final text box. And so you'll just kind of get a double talk, which is really annoying. But that concept we'll actually use later on in the run to skip a pretty big sequence. And we'll talk about that more when we get there. But for now, I saw him in RNG manipulation, and I know exactly how these enemies are going to move, which is really helpful. And also, I saved 1 frame here, because throwing rocks takes 1 frame. But by bringing it all the way here, I kind of drop the rock automatically. It's the most important frame save in the game. So this section is a maze. You want to talk a little bit about it, Mashi?
So the fairies here want to play hide and seek with you, and they randomize the forest, and they hide in different screens. It's not really random. If you move the same way every time, you're going to know exact patterns to go in order to find the screens you're looking for. And they always hide in the same place. So once you learn it once, you don't have to worry about it. But once you find all 3 of them, they'll put the forest back together, and then we can get into dungeon number 2.
Is right here conveniently. Okay, that's not supposed to happen. Marathon luck?
What's going on?
That's problematic. Apparently it collapsed after I tried to grab the rock. Oh, you know what? I think I know what I can do. Hey, Mashi.
Yeah?
Have you ever seen Endgame?
I have, yes.
Maybe we can do something like that.
Maybe. Maybe going back into time is the answer.
So this is the house of Nehru, the person that we're trying to save. And she has this harp, which has the power of time travel. And this harp has 3 songs that you can learn. And we'll be getting all 3. The first one only lets us travel back and forth through time if there's a portal on screen. And it kind of awakens that portal if we use the harp on that screen. But later on, we'll get more songs that let us do more things. As a matter of fact, the whole point of this route is to get the final song as quickly as possible. Because the final song is basically the latest game item that we need to do arbitrary code execution. The whole point of this route is to get the Dungeon 6 essence as quickly as possible, which is the trigger that lets us get Tune of Ages. We have some time for a donation or 2 at this point, I think.
Lovely. I definitely have more than 1 or 2 donations here, including this one from Magtor, who sent in $25 and says, Oracle of Ages is the first Legend of Zelda title I ever played, and I haven't played it since I was a kid. I'm so excited to see it again. I'm pretty excited to see it again, too, myself, actually. I'm I'm so hyped for this game. I love this game so much. All right, and we have another donation here from Adamantoys for $50, who said, have to donate again for a chance at that sweet, sweet Zelda 1 canvas map. And it is pretty sweet. You can definitely go check it out. If you go to gamesdonequick.com and click on prizes, you can see all of the prizes that we have available. We have all kinds of Legend of Zelda prizes, really, really beautiful things, including a Hylian Crest blanket for a $20 minimum donation, a link to the past Flute Boy print for a $10 minimum donation, and that, I'm looking for the stained glass mini Triforce. That's also only a $10 minimum donation to enter you to win one of those incredible prizes.
Sick. Thank you. So on my way over to get the mystery seed, which is one of the seeds that we can use for our satchel, I talked to that scrub there and bought a shield from him. And the shield is the item that Mash was talking about earlier that is one of the most broken items in the game, apparently, which we did not know about until about 6 months ago. We always skipped the shield before. It's not necessary to beat the game. We just always thought it was a useless item. But apparently, the wooden shield specifically, which is the level 1 shield, has an interesting property where it gives you a lot of knockback when you touch an enemy and not that many iframes. We can actually use that to clear large gaps with the feather, which we will do later. But until then, we have this cutscene where we give Queen Ambi the mystery seeds, which are the only thing that Bran is powerless to, and so she wants to get all the mystery seeds, basically. And so we trade in our mystery seeds for bombs.
Because
which is a pretty good trade, in my opinion.
That's what you
do. Because you can just find
yeah.
mystery seeds in bushes.
You get rewarded with explosives. That's the common thing in Zelda games.
Giving a child explosives, good idea.
But if you noticed, as we were walking past the entrance to Dungeon 2 in the past, he's blocked off. What's the Zelda thing to do? You gotta blow it open. So thankfully, she did give us those bombs. Otherwise, we would have no way of progression.
Oops. Menus are hard. The thing about this game is that menus are the item placement is wherever you last place it in the menu. It's not like Ocarina of Time where it's just static. So menuing can be real doozy sometimes.
I get it.
And here's why we don't need shield, is because we can just use shovel on these guys. Kind of messed it up there, but it's not a big deal. And so now I have Power Ring equipped. Actually, you want to talk a little bit about what Power Ring does and its advantages and disadvantages?
Yeah, I already kind of went into it, but like the Power Ring will increase your sword damage by 2, but it also increases the amount of damage that you take. So
yeah.
you're going to be taking more damage, but you're going to be dishing out more damage at the same time. So it's very good for combat as long as you don't get hit. And the good thing about the manipulation we did with Maple is we also got the potion, which is basically like a fairy in a bottle that in other Zelda games, it'll automatically revive you if your hearts hit 0. So it's basically our safety net.
It's good because we don't get very many heart containers in this run. We get 2 heart containers. 2 extra hearts for the entire run.
Yeah, we're not beating many dungeons, so we're not getting a lot of heart containers.
Oh, nice. He's got in my way. Okay. I had to just wing it there. Hopefully I get another heart. I need at least 2.5 to get the 2 cycle on the mini boss. Otherwise, I could potentially lose my potion if I get a bad pattern. Okay. We're good. And some extra cash. I'll take that.
Extra rupees are always good because we do need a lot of them. We're going to be buying
Yeah, we
a lot of things.
we definitely rely on a few random drops throughout the run. And if I get enough, I can skip a rupee chest, which can be nice. But I usually don't get enough for that, but we'll see. Alright, so here's the mini-boss. Mash, do you want to explain this guy?
So this is Swoop. Swoop is the mini-boss. He says, one without wings is no match for me. But basically what he does is he drops down on the ground. If you're standing anywhere in the middle, it'll break that tile. And if you fall down to the basement and you have to come back up and restart the fight. Whole lot of fun. But if you stand on the corner doesn't break. So we just stand over there, wait for him to drop down, hit him a couple times, and it's done.
Oh, didn't hit any of them. Let's go. These guys can be real jerks, and so I try to hit as many as I can with the bomb. So I'm walking in.
Yeah, these
But I
guys
missed.
are like AAA snipers. They will hit you no matter where you are. So you want to try and knock out as many of them as possible, just to make your life a little bit easier.
Alright, and that's all we're gonna do in Dungeon 2. I'm bailing. I don't actually need the essence. I'm gonna grab a heart though, in case. So I hard reset my console again because I'm gonna start another RNG manipulation. Mash, you want to explain D2 skip a little bit?
So we're going to be doing a whole bunch of tricks back to back right now. First thing we're going to be doing is what's called a text warp. We're going to go into this outhouse with the hand, and we're going to not come out the same entrance that we came out. What happens here... I'll wait a second for audio. What happens here is every inside area, like a house or a cave, is located on the same overworld map as everything else. Instead of it warping you to a new map, it just has a pointer that tells you go here instead of go outside. So what we do is we pull up a text box on the same frame that we're leaving, and that interrupts that pointer. So instead of going back to where we came from, we end up just screen transitioning to the south, going to the next screen, which happens to be that old man cave. And that old man cave is located very far into the game. We actually get stuck in the tree. And in order to get out of the tree, we have to RNG manipulate the like to eat us. Fun fact about that is we have a shield. Likes eat shields. You need to mash at least 16 times before the like eats your shield, because we need the shield in order to do this trick here, which is a bomb boosted, shield boosted jump, which is RNG manipulated. Very nice. We're gonna be...
Second trade's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Much better than what it used to be before we found out about the shield boosting.
Right. This trick used, like Messi said earlier, this trick used to be, the only way to do it before was a double frame perfect boost. My health is really bad. It's okay, I have a potion, so it'll be fine.
And we used to have to manipulate subpixels and everything. We had to wait for that gel on the other side in order to jump and throw at the same time. It was a nightmare.
But the reason we do all that is so that we can get Pegasus seeds, which let me run fast. And these let me jump over larger gaps. And with bombs, they let me jump over even larger gaps. So I can use this to skip having to use Moosh in a bit. Before that, while I'm here, I'm actually going to grab this, do this section of the game, where I fight this boss here. And he'll give me this bomb flower thing, which I need to get the Dungeon 5 key. I don't need the Dungeon 5 key for quite a while, but while I'm here, I might as well get it. He's pretty much a pseudo auto-scroller, not much I can do to speed it up. Just try to avoid the mini Baldwin's bombs. My health is kind of bad. Hopefully I don't get hit too much. Speed blast it. There we go. And so now we saved the Gorons from the evil Moblin King, and so they reward us with the bomb flower. And we'll actually go back. They give us that in the past, and we use the bomb flower in the present, so it's kind of interesting. That's how it's like meant to be done, but we kind of sequence break a bit, and so we don't actually get to see the whole sequence. Oh man, okay. I'm guaranteed to lose half a heart with this bomb jump, so I'm gonna have to use my potion, which kind of sucks. But you know, what's the point of having a potion if you don't use it, right?
So here we're gonna do a bomb jump in order to get back into sequence. So by leaving Dungeon 2, we broke the story triggers, and the events leading up to Dungeon 3 are not going to happen until we get the essence from Dungeon 2. However, there is a way to get back on sequence by bomb jumping into this grave. Bomb jumping, fairly simple. You just hold a bomb above your head and wait for it to explode and jump. But what really is happening here is we're going to be grabbing the Shovel Rope, which you're supposed to find out about this rope that doesn't decompose or whatever through story events, and you're supposed to beat Moosh in the graveyard, who's supposed to fly you into the grave. That doesn't happen if you do not beat Dungeon 2. But now, because we're able to get into the grave anyway, we're able to progress the story and continue on to Dungeon 3. There's going to be a little bit of story progression that we're going to be doing as well. We're getting that rope because we need to build a raft, because the next dungeon is on an island.
Dang it.
But we're going to find out that building the raft isn't enough. We also need an island chart. So we're going to be doing a little bit of back and forth, getting some items and stuff in order to get over there.
We have some time for donations in the meantime.
I have some donations here, and my cat has wandered away, so it'll be a lot easier for me to read them. Barrick the Cleric sent in $100 and said, Oracle of Ages is my favorite childhood Zelda game. Thank you, GlyphDX, for running it faster than I could have ever imagined. Keep up the good work, and remember, Moosh is the best animal companion.
True.
Yes.
I have another donation over here from Kona Rican, who sent in $30 and says, donation war for favorite Oracle pet, Dimitri the Swimming Dodongo over here.
Close second.
Yeah, Dimitri's good.
Do we have time for more?
Yeah.
All right, I have a $25 donation here from Justin Dark, who says, it's my happy time of year again. So glad to see Zelda Oracle of Ages being run on day one. So pumped for the rest of the week. Thank you very much for your generosity, Justin Dark.
All right, cool. So now we get to meet, speaking of the animal companions, we get to meet Ricky the kangaroo. Ricky's really annoying because his controls are pretty garbage. Oops, just talked to him a bunch. But first, he lost his boxing gloves, and we need to find them. I don't know how he got them buried on the beach over here. I think there's a story thing to it, but I forgot what it is.
He's always losing his boxing gloves. Both games, he loses his boxing gloves.
But we need to get to Tingle, because Tingle can make us maps. Just like in Majora's Mask. He has a chart for us, and we need to get that chart in order to get on a raft to be able to get to Dungeon 3. So Ricky hops around. He can jump over cliffs, jump over pits, and he's really annoying. But the other great thing about this route is that we're actually able to get a upgrade from Tingle that we're not supposed to be able to get yet. Normally, he doesn't give us the satchel upgrade that lets us hold 50 seeds in our satchel until we have sun seeds. But the game actually only checks to see if we have 3 seeds in our inventory, not if we have sun seeds specifically. And since we got Pegasus seeds early, we do have 3 seeds. So we're able to do a little bit of a sequence break, which lets us carry a lot of seeds.
And now that we have the raft and the island chart, we're able to navigate our way to the island.
Not sure how Link is always surviving those lightning bolts, but I guess he did somehow.
So we get shipwrecked on the island because we get caught in a storm, and we get greeted by the locals, the Tokay, and they're kleptomaniacs. They will steal everything, and they actually steal all of Link's items. But thankfully, they're very remorseful, and they will just give them back to you if you just talk to them.
Most of them.
Yeah, most of them. There's one
entrepreneur, one business savvy Tokay that can be a little bit cumbersome, but I have a way around him. We'll get into it in a bit.
So this area is probably a lot of people's least favorite area of the game because you're just going around this island over and over and over trying to get your items back. Thankfully, we have a way of cutting this entire thing down so much shorter than you would normally have to do it. And that has to do with the shopkeeper Tokay. So he has 2 of the Link's items. He has the feather and the bracelet. He will trade you one of those items in exchange for your shovel. Now, way back towards the beginning of the game, we mentioned about how gaps in the cutscenes, gaps in the text, allow you to do an action. And that's going to come into play here. We're going to be able to pull out a bomb in between text, like right at the end of the text box, and that is going to put a bomb in Link's hand, so when he goes to get the item, it's going to just drop on the ground, and we can just walk away.
By the way. There's only one frame that works.
One of the quirks with this shopkeeper is that if you do not have a shovel in your inventory, and he does not have a shovel in his inventory, he will give you a shovel. So you can duplicate shovels. And you can get enough shovels to be able to give him multiple shovels and keep a shovel, as well as getting both of your items back. It is frame perfect, so and the frame does change depending on whether you're doing it with the shovel or with one of the other items. You can do it either way.
Well, that could have been worse.
Yeah, that's one of those tricks that you either get it first try, or you could be sitting there for 5 minutes. So getting it relatively quickly is not bad.
I'm trying doing their bomb jump here. Oops. Saves about 2 seconds, but having the menu like that, an extra time because I was early, basically canceled out the time save. But it looks cool, so there you go.
And by getting all of our items right away, we're able to skip a lot of backtracking. Normally you'd come into this cave like 3 or 4 different times, I don't know how many, because first time you're going to have just the feather and bombs, second time you're going to have just the bracelet and bombs, next time you're going to come back, you're going to have everything. Like, it's a lot of back and forth with that shopkeeper. So by being able to get everything right away is super useful. It also allows us to skip getting scent seeds. So normally, in order to buy back your items, you have to give them certain types of seeds. For the feather, it's mystery seeds, and for the bracelet, it's scent seeds. In order to get scent seeds, you have to play a mini game to get a scent seedling. You have to plant that scent seedling, and then you have to go back and forth in order to grow it and reach it. It's a pain, but we're able to skip the whole thing. We will still need to get scent seeds, but there is a backup way for us to get them, so we don't have to worry about doing any of that.
All right, but now we have all we need to just go into D3. Oh. So D3 is one of the dungeons that we need to complete all the way through. And it can be a little bit frustrating because we do a lot of the dungeon inside of manipulation. And just for one room, basically. And we'll get to that in a bit when I start it. But first we need to get a key here, and we also need to break that crystal. There are 4 crystals spread throughout this dungeon. For some reason, one room in this dungeon was held up with 4 load-bearing crystals, which is somehow good architecture. I don't know. I question that decision, but I'm not an architect, so whatever. That's the first one. But I'm going to hard reset my console to start another RNG manipulation. And slash my sword a bunch. And we're off.
Yeah, the big gimmick to this dungeon is that there's a spinner in the center of the dungeon, and that's gonna restrict your movement, either going clockwise or counterclockwise. And by destroying all 4 of the crystals, you're able to drop that spinner onto the basement, which is where everything else is, where the boss key, where the mini boss, where the boss, everything is. But the big reason we're going to be doing an RNG manipulation here is there's a room with 4 Armos statues that we need to defeat in order to get a key. Now, Armos statues don't have that many weaknesses. They're weak to bombs. They're also weak to scent seeds. We don't have scent seeds yet. So the only thing we can use to defeat them is bombs. Now, these guys, they move very erratically. So if you ever try to kill these guys with bombs, you might have a hard time, which is why we try and manipulate it so that we know where they're going to be moving at all times. And if done correctly, it looks very elegant as well.
Just coming up here in just a few moments. This room right here. So satisfying. Okay, I just screwed that up. That's not good. I did this in my practice run too. Oh, that's really bad. Okay. That is not great, but we're gonna work with it. Ideally, I would continue the manipulation to the next room, but I slashed 1 extra time by mistake, and that made these different. And these tiles can be real troublesome, especially when you have Power Room equipped like I do.
Yeah, because you just take so much damage, and if you're not prepared for the different RNG, where the different gels are going to be spawning, You can easily get overwhelmed in this room.
Okay. Whoops. I really don't want to die here. Okay. So I'm supposed to be able to continue the RNG manipulation and get a bunch of Pegasus seeds, but I didn't do that. So my Pegasus seed count might be a little low, but it should be okay. I should be able to work with whatever the game gives me. Just kind of nice to have. Oh, I almost forgot to hit that while I was talking. This Dungeon 3 is not going according to plan.
So the dungeon item for this dungeon is the Seed Shooter. And the Seed Shooter does exactly what it says. It shoots seeds. Except there's a couple different things. One, it'll allow you to ricochet seeds off of walls. So you're able to get some bank shots that look super sick. But also, shooting seeds can sometimes change the properties of that seed. Like shooting a Pegasus seed will cause enemies to be frozen in place rather than speed them up. But for the most part, things like Ember seeds still burn. Your scent seeds are your general ammunition, so they don't have any extra properties. And then mystery seeds will randomly be one of the other seed types. So the main boss, Subterror, he's a mole. You dig him up. You hit him with your sword. Not much to it.
Oh no, I got the bad pattern. I should have reset the room. It's okay. I need a lot of Pegasus seeds, to be honest. It should be okay. I'll just have to be conservative with them in the next split if I don't get any from the boss. Okay. So that's where we get scent seeds from. They always appear in those bushes, but it's random. There's a 1 in 4 chance that you don't get any. So usually they show up, but they can be a little bit annoying sometimes.
So the way those respawning bushes work is that it doesn't care if you've already gotten the seed or not. It'll still spawn the item. So thankfully we don't have to do the entire scent seed quest in order to get scent seeds, because we're going to need them later on. What scent seeds do if you drop them on the ground using the satchel is it lures enemies towards them. There is one specific spot where we absolutely have to use it, and then there's another spot where it helps.
And then there's one kind of skip we can do with scent seeds as well at the very end of the run.
Here is Shadow Hag, the third boss. Shadow Hag is afraid of anyone looking at her. So you have to bank shot your hits off the wall.
I got really lucky with those seed drops.
Yeah, those are some really good seed drops.
You can get a 2-cycle off her, but I intentionally wanted to get a 3-cycle just so that I could get extra seeds. Okay, this is still kind of low on seeds, but I can work with this. It's enough.
Now coming up, we're going to meet Dimitri the Dodongo. Dimitri is being harassed by some Tokay. We're just going to give the Tokay an Ember Seed, and their mouths are going to be on fire, so they're going to run away and try and cool them off. But by saving Dimitri, we're going to be able to ride her and get back to the mainland. And we're going to also have to start making our decision. This is the time in the game where you get to choose which animal companion you're going to be using for the rest of the game. At this point, you've seen all three of them. In seasons, you don't get to see all three before you have to make the decision, but we're going to be able to do that. The way you make the decision is there's three options. You either just play the game normally, continue making progress, and you're going to get Moosh. If you do that, the game soft locks. You cannot get Moosh using this route. Because we broke the story triggers after D2, it doesn't work. Moosh is broken.
You saw Moosh after I got the rope, and he was kind of sitting there. He doesn't work anymore, basically.
The other options we have are the shop. There's a flute in the shop. You buy that. That gives you Dimitri, which is the fastest option. So we're going to be using that. The other option to get Ricky is to go into the past, into the village, and play the shooting gallery minigame, and you'll get a flute from that. No matter which animal companion you get, this area with the carpenters is going to change. So it's going to change based on what the strength of that animal companion you're going to be using is. So for Dimitri, there's going to be a lot of water. There's going to be some waterfalls that you go up. With Moosh, there's a lot of holes that you fly over. With Ricky, there's a lot of cliffs that you go up and down. But before we go ahead and get our animal companion for real, the fairies interrupt us and be like, hey, someone's in the forest. And it happens to be our animal companion.
The great thing about Dimitri is that we can pick him up with our power bracelet, and so we can run around with Pegasus seeds while we're carrying him around. So it's a lot faster than normal, just riding him.
And here's probably a good spot for a donation, because we're just going to be collecting the 3 lazy carpenters. After collecting all 3 of them, they're going to build the bridge for us.
All right, well, I have a donation here from Chris Sturm McGee, who sent in $30 and says, good luck on the run, GlyphDX. Thanks to the GDQ staff and Doctors Without Borders for organizing this awesome event. Do we have time for one more? Sorry,
yeah.
Go ahead. Kelvin Mize sent in $25 and said, loved Ages and Seasons as a kid. Always thought they had a unique charm, different from the other Zelda titles. Love seeing the sword tone RNG manipulation. Wow. Good luck on the run.
Thanks. All right, so now we have the bridge, and we can head over to Symmetry City. You want to talk a little bit about what Symmetry City is, Mashy?
So Symmetry City is exactly what it says. It's a city that's symmetrical. So everything that's on one side of the city is mirrored on the other side. We're also going to be getting Gale Seeds here, which are amazing. Gale Seeds allow us to teleport to any seed tree that we've seen. So there was a while back where we just dipped into a screen just to see a seed tree and left. That's going to come into play a lot later on. But for now, we're not going to really worry about it. But Symmetry City, something's wrong. The volcano is erupting because the Toonie Nut, the central pillar of Symmetry City, is broken. And no one in the city is able to actually do anything about it because they have to abide by the rules. The rules state that if one side moves, the other side must move because they have to be symmetrical. Link can break the rules, so they give the Toonie Nut to Link in order to fix it. In order to get it fixed, we have to go meet Patch, who lives at the top of the restoration wall. In order to get there, we're going to need a little bit of an upgrade. The harp is going to need an upgrade. We're going to need to get the second song, which is the Tune of Currents. The Tune of Currents allows us to travel freely from the past to the present. It does not allow travel from the present to the past. So we're going to be using that in combination with the Tune of Echoes, which is the one we have, to use portals to go back and forth in order to get through the next section.
All right, this whole section is basically a tutorial for how the Tune of Currents works. You can kind of think of it like the mirror in Link to the Past, where you can go back to the light world, but you can't go to the dark world.
And the whole thing with the tuning nut is that the tuning nut is also a palindrome. It is spelled the same way backwards and forwards, so it follows the rules of symmetry as well.
We probably have some time for some donations here.
Okay, well, I have $50 here from Richard Hawk, who says, had to donate during Oracle of Ages. I played this game in college forever ago, and I remember it being the hardest Zelda game I ever played. Love watching Glyph completely crush it. Kitty! I have another donation here from Maven for $25, who says, the Zelda Oracle games are some of my favorite games of all time, and Doctors Without Borders is my favorite charity of all time. No better time to donate than now. Good luck, GlyphTX.
Maybe one or two more.
Sure thing. Ashura sent in $100 and says, have to donate whenever I see an excellent Legend of Zelda speedrun. Glad to put money towards a good cause and enjoy some time with all my online friends watching such a nostalgic game.
All right, so what we did there is I pushed the thing that made, like the rock that made the water flow the other direction for some reason. I guess it's kind of like a dam or something. I'm not sure how it works.
I don't know
but by
how
pushing it in the
Link is
past-
strong enough for that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, by pushing that rock, it diverts the water to the other side, which fills in all the holes and allows you to progress. And we're slowly getting to the end. We're going to be quickly getting to the restoration wall. We're going to be talking to Patch, who will then have us play a mini game in order to restore the tuning nut. Once we play the mini game, we're going into Dungeon 4. Now, Dungeon 4 is a little broken in this speedrun. We're going to be doing a very, very difficult trick, which involves RNG manipulation. It involves subpixel manipulation. It involves just moving in certain positions. And then we're going to be doing a bomb boosted, shield boosted, arrow boosted jump over some lava in order to skip the entire dungeon. Because all we need to do is just get to the dungeon item and leave, which happens to be like 2 or 3 screens away from the entrance. So thankfully, we found this trick using the shield boosting tech, and it saves about 4 minutes of just navigating through the dungeon. You're gonna see like this whole funky dance of moving the Stalfos around, moving based on where the arrows are, where the Stalfos is moving in order to manipulate certain positions. And then once we get into the corner, we're going to be waiting for a certain timing. It is a frame perfect jump once you do the shield boost. So hopefully he gets the frame perfectly and lands on the bridge.
So there I wait just a moment on the title screen, just to push RNG a little bit further. Otherwise I'd have to slash a lot. But yeah, it's going to be a frame perfect trick. At 60 frames a second is what this game runs at. So no small task, but I'll do my best. But first I'm gonna drop into this lava, just hit up my subpixels. Do a couple of these. Alright, and the trick is about to start. So I'll need a little bit of silence here as I focus. Come on. Good. Uh-oh. Okay. Trying to move 1 pixel without falling in the lava. There it is. Oh, yes, dude. So you saw me, I paused 1 frame early, and then I was able to, oh, I messed that up. Nice. That's what I'm explaining. I paused 1 frame early. That allowed me to open my save and quit menu exactly 1 frame later, and get the trick. First try. Really happy about that. I was pretty stressed about that trick. But now we have the switch hook. You want to explain the switch hook, Mashi?
So the switch hook is basically like a hook shot from other Zelda games where you're going to be able to grab items from afar. But there's a twist. You're going to switch places with that item. Unless you destroy the item with like small enemies you can kill with the switch hook. But the main gimmick is that when you grab onto something, you're going to swap places with it.
So now we get to use our bomb flower from forever ago to free this Goron. And he gives us the key to Dungeon 5, and then we're going to go straight to Dungeon 5.
Dungeon 5 is also another dungeon where all we need is the dungeon item, and we don't need to beat the dungeon. It's going to be another quick one. All we need in Dungeon 5 is a small key, and that's going to allow us to get straight to the dungeon item.
Conveniently, there's a bunch of seed drops here, pegs of seeds. And I'm basically out of them, so it's pretty convenient. The gimmick of this whole dungeon are these switches. That move those blocks up and down. It gets kind of complicated, not super complicated, but we basically skip all of those puzzles.
Yeah, it's one of those things, once you figure it out once, it's not difficult. It's more about just navigating the first time around.
But the speedrun, we skip pretty much all of it. Here's a pretty interesting room. I open my menu here. And... Oh, I got it. Oh, I lost a lot of health, though. Don't know if I like that. I opened my menu as I was entering the room, and that caused the paddles to keep moving during the fade transition to the menu. And that allowed me to get a quick cycle. And I have the Cane of Samaria, and I'm just going to dip out.
The Cane of Samaria, just like in other Zelda games, it creates a block, and you can use that block to weigh down switches, or you can throw the block at enemies to do damage. we're only going to use the Canis Maria in one room. And that's just so that we can hold down a switch. If we were able to get past that room without the Canis Maria, we would never have to do Dungeon 5. But now we did another text warp, which gets us back over to the Dungeon 6 area of Rolling Ridge. Before we can get into Dungeon 6, we're going to have to play a lot of minigames. So Gorons really like their trading quests. They really like their minigames. So we're going to be doing a lot of trading, minigames, getting items, and we actually need 2 keys for the dungeon because there is actually 2 dungeons.
First, we need to do some dancing. I think that's 6. Kind of lost count. You only need to complete 6 of them, and then you can just fail 2 of them. Yep.
So the fastest way would be to fail 2 of the longest ones and just complete all the short ones. But for safety reasons, you usually just want to get 6 correct and then just fail the last 2.
That minigame is unironically, it can get really difficult, especially the higher levels.
Shoutouts to how heckin' cute the Gorons are in this game. That was adorable.
Oh yeah, I love all the sprite work in this game is really, really good and really cute sometimes. So next we have target carts, and I have to hit all of the targets with the siege shooter, and I need to be really careful here because if I even miss one, I lose the minigame. So I need to be extra careful. So I'm gonna play this as safely as I possibly can. Perfectly safe. And now we're gonna play Shooting Gallery. And Shooting Gallery is pretty interesting because you only need to get 100 points. And so we can kind of do a trick to basically always win.
So you're guaranteed to get a pattern with the angel and a blue block in the center, which will get you 130 points. So you're guaranteed to get the 130 points. You only need 100 points to win. All you can do for the rest is either just miss the ball. If you have points and you miss a ball, you lose 50 points. So what you can do otherwise is you can just hit the ball downward and you'll get 0 points. So depending on when the angel pops up in the middle, you can do either or.
There we go.
And
That was some bad enemy placement.
now that we've collected the rock brisket and the lava juice, we can start doing some trading. The first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be giving the rock brisket over to the Goron guard in the present. He's very hungry because he's been on shift for way too long, and he hasn't had a lunch break. But he's like, get me some food and I'll give you a vase. So we give him some food and we get a vase for our efforts. Now, what we end up doing is we end up giving that vase to this Goron guard in the past, who happens to be the ancestor of the Goron guard in the present that just gave us the vase. So where did the vase come from?
I can't think about these things right now, Mashi. I'm trying to do a speed run.
But by doing that, we get the Goronade, which is basically a Goron version of an energy drink. And we're going to be giving it to another Goron who will be jolted, and he's going to be giving us the craziest minigame of all time. We're going to dodge some bombs. But our prize for dodging some bombs is actually the Dungeon 6 key. So it's well worth it.
Definitely the best mini game in all of Zelda. This is what it looks like. Also, I'd like to point out that every time you finish one of these minigames, the Goron asks you if you want to play again, and it defaults to yes. And so if you just mash through the text boxes, you'll play the minigame again and lose a bunch of rupees. And it's not a fun time.
Yeah, because as we mentioned earlier, we need a lot of rupees. The rupee route is fairly tight. We're going to be finishing with not enough to replay any minigames.
Also, I hope you guys liked Goron dancing, because we're going to play it again. Exactly the same as before.
There is a backup rupee if we need it, but we shouldn't need it.
I mean, to be fair, I love Goron dancing, so
I'm glad to hear it.
I'm pretty hyped.
Because we're going to do it again. Oh, I failed it. Let's go. All right, there we go. And that is all the minigames. And finally, we get to enter Dungeon 6 for the first time.
So
this is a really long dungeon. Almost all of it's going to be inside of an RNG manipulation, which we'll get to in a bit.
As we mentioned earlier,
first we
since there's
handles.
2 keys for the dungeon, there's actually 2 versions of the dungeon. There's one in the past, one in the present. And we're going to be going back and forth between the 2.
These candles, by the way, deal 1 heart of damage, and they can really, really troll you if you're not careful.
Yeah,
But I took that a little slow.
Oracles doesn't have a lot of iframes, so you can get destroyed by a candle very quickly.
Oh, it's such a bad pattern. Oh my gosh. That was unfortunate. Oh. This is bad. Okay.
The Bluey, our favorite blue Wizrobe, he really likes to ruin people's days.
Okay, I got past him just barely.
And the main thing we're doing here is we're setting up for later.
Alright, that was intentional. Getting caught by the hand. Faster than saving and quitting.
Because any changes that we make in the past will be affected in the present. So blowing up certain walls, we're going to need that for later in the present. Because otherwise, those walls are solid and we can't get past.
Oops. Beautiful. And again, same thing here. We're going to set this up for later. I'm actually going to save and quit here and start RNG manipulation. There we go. And this RNG manipulation is for two things. Firstly, it is for the mini boss, which is Vire. You may remember Vire from Link's Awakening. He's just a normal enemy in that game in Dungeon 8, but in this game he's a mini boss and he's much more powerful and really random. But luckily we can use an RNG manipulation that makes him trivial. As long as they don't mess up the minip. Here's where we need to use scent seeds for this room. My funky movement here is all just to get the right patterns. This all looks good.
So with the manipulation, we're able to manipulate the spawning of the Wizrobe on the other side of the pit that we can easily just switch hook, which saves us going around and around a lot.
Right. And there's Vire.
By using RNG manipulation, you can make that fight so much easier. Because otherwise, he can just fly around in circles. He can just troll you by dipping into the screen and just dipping out. There's so many different things that can happen.
And I have the mermaid suit, which is a pretty interesting item. Basically, it's a lot faster than the normal flippers, but you swim by tapping the D-pad, which is very arthritis-inducing.
And
a lot of people hate this suit, but I really like it. I think it's a cool item.
The mermaid suit has destroyed many D-pads.
That's true. But what I'm trying to do here is set up for another RNG manipulation with these keys, which makes it really difficult for this chest. In the boss key chest, it looks like a 50-50 chance, but it's actually a 1 in 4. Each time you pull the lever, it's a 1 in 4 chance of you getting the key, except for the first one, which is guaranteed to not work. But hopefully I can get the right pattern. Just like that. And now I am doing yet another manipulation, and this is to skip a key, which saves about a minute. This manipulation is probably my only contribution to this game. I designed this because I hate candles, and it manipulates the candles in the next room, which is very convenient. It also saves about 10 to 20 seconds over the old version of the key skip, which is nice. But it's a lot harder, so... It's probably the trick I'm most concerned about. Just because it's not as hard as D4 skip, but I can't really retry it if I fail it. I just have to go get the key like normal. And I want to be able to show it off, so...
Yeah,
the reason it's so hard is because this underwater section, you can't really manipulate the jellyfish. They roll too much RNG, and so you just have to react to them. If you get hit, it's basically over. But it seems like they're being pretty nice.
As well as the keys, too, once you get to the final room. Because keys roll RNG so much, you really can't come up with a backup.
That's really weird. Okay, I barely got through. Okay, I need some silence here so I can listen for my sword slashes. Okay, it's over. Alright, I'm going to do the backup and up the old version. Not very well practiced in this, but hopefully I get it. We'll see. I'll do my best. So I'm going to try to do a keys boost where I use a bomb and then a keys to damage boost to skip a bridge, or a bridge that requires a small key. Hopefully I remember how to do it. It's been a while since I've actually done this minute. Come on. Oh, I messed up. Alright. That's okay. Not a big deal. I'll just have to get the key like normal. That's a shame.
It's a fairly difficult trick to do.
Yeah, especially when I equipped the wrong item and didn't have a... Oh.
And since you really only get the one shot at it, it's hard to really practice for it. But thankfully, the backup isn't too bad. All we're going to be doing is we're going to go underwater. We're going to do a switch hook puzzle. We're going to be putting all of the diamonds onto the 6 colored spots at the top. One of the quickest ways of doing it is making a diamond in the center. And using that makes it so that you're able to grab any diamond from wherever you need to be.
And there we go.
Now we're going to be coming up on the boss of Dungeon 6, which is Octagon. Octagon is an Octorok that goes under the water. So thankfully we have the mermaid suit, so we can go under the water as well. But thankfully with the power ring, we can do this fight pretty quickly.
Whoops. Hopefully I don't die. Kind of a scuffed fight so far. Whoops. What? Really scuffed fight. Okay, it's fine. Skipping the heart container because heart containers are for wimps. And we're almost done with the game. Even though I only have 3 essences, we're getting pretty close.
Yeah, the whole point of this run was to beat Dungeon 6, because that unlocks the trigger for getting into Ambi's Palace. And once we go into Ambi's Palace, we're going to be able to get the final harp upgrade, which is the Tune of Ages. And that is the big item that we're looking for in order to really break open the rest of the game.
There we go. Forgetting menus is nice.
This be an okay time for some donations?
One moment, actually.
Sure.
There's a few things to explain. There's gonna be a cutscene in a bit, though.
And normally,
so here I'm gonna... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, normally when you're coming into Ambi's Palace, you're supposed to go through the secret passage in order to get into the palace because the guards stop you. But you can do a little skip by dropping a scent seed that distracts them long enough for you to just slip on past and go right through the front door.
I'm gonna do something kind of weird here. I'm gonna go through this backwards. This is how you're supposed to get into the palace, but I'm actually going through the other way. And that's just to reach this screen here and save and quit. I'm gonna start RNG manipulation for the for Varan, but that will be relevant in a little bit, but that has to do with the arbitrary code execution that we're going to do in a bit. But first I just need to get through these guards. They're not really a threat. They just chase me around and don't really do anything. As long as you're fast enough, you don't have to worry about getting caught. But here, Varan will warp around a lot, and it can be really annoying. So I'm going to manip this fight so that make her not warp around.
So the way you fight Varan here is you have to use a Mystery Seed to reveal her true form, and then use the Switch Hook to pull her out of the possessed body, and then you can finally do damage. As any video game logic would imply, you have to do this 3 times.
There we go. We have some time for some donations here, though. Gonna be a pretty long cutscene.
Awesome. I have all kinds of donations, including this one from Pluto Syndrome, who sent in $50 and said, always happy to see the Oracle games on GDQ. They are my absolute favorite of the Zelda games. Donating for Moosh, the best boy. I have another donation here from Jeff Cornelius for $25. He says, great cause, great game, love everything Zelda, and excited about those Legend of Zelda prizes you're giving out. And boy, do we have a lot of Legend of Zelda prizes. I tell you what, if you are a big fan of the Ages and Seasons game, we have this beautiful bead art canvas available. And if you want to take a look at it, you can go to gamesdonequick.com and click on prizes. You can see all of our prizes there. And it has Link writing on each of the animal companions. Moosh, Ricky, and Dimitri are all present. It is really, really lovely. And it is a 25 minimum donation to be entered for a chance to win that.
We can get one more in.
All right, I have a donation here from Chris B for $30 who says The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages was the first handheld Zelda game I played as a child. I used to love encountering Maple so much I would walk back and forth over and over looking for her hours on end. This donation is in honor of my fellow nurses and other healthcare workers. Thank you, Chris B.
All right, so we're getting pretty close to the end of the game here. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to save and quit so that I can go back to the past. Just faster than playing the harp. And I'm going to warp back to Rolling Ridge, where we did all the mini games. And I'm going to do another text warp, but this one's going to be a little bit different. The game isn't going to be very happy. So I'm actually going to try to do the trick in its entirety and explain afterwards, because it's a lot. And it's hard to explain as it's going on. It's better to just see the chaos first and then hear how it works afterwards. So yeah, the game is not exactly happy right now. A bunch of garbage tiles on the screen. But it takes me to these... When I play the harp, it takes me to these out-of-bounds tiles. I need to go to this specific one up here. And this is all to set up my subpixels. Alright, get ready on time. And time. So yeah, that's Oracle of Ages. These are the credits. This is true ending. I'll say that these are the real credits. The game's not exactly supposed to look this way, but it gets fixed in a bit. These are the fun credits. So to explain how that all worked. So basically, when I went in Ambi's palace and went to that tile and saved and quit, that tile actually corresponds to the tile I selected when I opened up my map. When I opened up my select map and selected that glitch tile, a lot of weird things happened. And so what it actually looked at is it looked at my bomb's subpixels. Actually not bombs, but the subpixels of the 5th object on the screen. And I made a bunch of items appear. 4 items, and then drew a bomb, so that it was the 5th item. And so I caused the game to look at the subpixels of that bomb, which basically take link subpixels, which is why I had to do all that jumping around at the beginning to get my subpixels perfect. And that pointed to my file name, and my file name had an instruction to play the credits. And that's basically how all that works in a nutshell. It's super, super complicated. I don't really understand all of how it works, but that's the basics. But yeah, it's super, super cool. Shout out to SPD for discovering this application of arbitrary code execution. It's absolutely insane. A lot of people have worked on all this stuff. Stockfolder, Dren, Scorpion Man, so many people. And yeah, that's Oracle of Ages any percent. A few shoutouts to all the Oracle's community. The Nitros, Haret, Mashy commentating, Dren, everyone, TGH, the current world record holder, yeah, Sagaz, shoutouts to the Link's Awakening crew, where I've come from. I'm a Link's Awakening speedrunner at heart. Appreciate their support. And shoutouts to the Big Fan crew. You know who you are. Big fan. I'll remember you after I am rich and famous from all this GDQ clout. Yeah, any shoutouts, my Mashy, that you got?
I think you covered just about everything. Shoutouts to all the Zelda randomizers as well. We have a randomizer for the Oracle games, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and if you're interested in getting into this run, or of Seasons, or of either of the randos, you can go into our SRC page, and there's a Discord link. You can join, and we can help you out. But other than that, I think that's pretty much it. Appreciate everyone who's watching. And I said this before during my Link's Awakening run from AGQ, but I want to say it again. I think everyone who's watching, you're all super special and important. So just thank you for being you and for being amazing. And yeah, that's it.
What a wonderful run of Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages that was by Glyph DX. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope y'all are going to stick around because coming right up, we have Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops by Pythonicus. But first, I have a donation here from Zach for $255 who said I could watch this for ages. We did watch it for ages. Now, we do have a quick break coming up, but we will be right back after that. Welcome back to SGDQ 2021, powered by Twitch. And I am told coming up next we have lamp chair scent prizes.
We certainly have all of those things. Hello, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Sent, and as some of you might recognize, this is my mother's house. Now, there are so many amazing benefits to having Summer Games Done Quick 2021 online. We get to show you all some absolutely amazing runs that the logistics of doing at a live event would just be daunting, to say the least. Runs from arcade cabinets, runs from actual arcades, as well as all kinds of cool challenges. Like Bubsy' blindfolded run later in the marathon. You definitely don't want to miss that. That might just not work too well in a live, noisy environment. We also get to feature runs from all kinds of people, and especially races from all kinds of groups of people that may never get out to get to an event together. And that is super cool to watch. But selfishly, my favorite reason about hosting SGDQ 2021 online is that at the end of the day, I get to go home. And after a long day of talking about prizes, there's nothing more I enjoy than having these simple comforts of home, you know. Chair, lamp, prize monster, Chompers the shark. Okay, I don't know how that got there. I'm just gonna gently put it down. So now that we've gone through all of that, why don't we tell you about some of the amazing prizes that you can win by donating from now until the end of Styx Shards of Darkness, coming up a little bit later tonight. We have all kinds of amazing prizes. Chuglup Sketches sent in a beautiful stained glass mini Triforce. It comes on a nice little chain. It's about, yay big or so. We showed it off earlier when we were back in the studio with Shout. It looked absolutely wonderful. It definitely looked like something you could maybe even get away with wearing as a necklace with a slightly longer chain. It was beautiful, and it's only a $10 minimum donation. Make sure to go over to GamesDoneQuick.com. Check out the prizes link. There's a great photo of it there you can see already. Nerdpop Prince sent us a beautiful Link to the Past Boy and His Flute print. You should check out a picture of it at GamesDoneQuick.com. It looks great. It's just a cool picture of Link standing in the middle of the forest, playing the ocarina on a stump, surrounded by all of his animal friends. It's super cool. Now, from Fandom Regalia, we have a couple of beautiful pendants here. We have this gold and silver themed Legend of Zelda pendants. Now, the silver one is a sterling silver rupee, and the gold pendant is a 10 karat rose gold pendant in the shape of a heart container from the Legend of Zelda series. It's a super cool, fantastic prize. $20 minimum donation, but you got to get that donation in from now until the end of Styx Shards of Darkness. And thank you so much to our friends over at Fandom Regalia for making that possible and sending that in. There are so many amazing prizes. I can't talk about them all, but one I've got to talk about here is I'm Stuck in a Video Game. It's an absolutely adorable book by Nina Masumoto, who is an amazing illustrator who's done a ton of great work for Fangamer, and Tsuyoshi Kan, who is actually the producer and narrator of Game Center CX. Some people know this as a Retro Game Challenge. Those people are incorrect. But Game Center CX, absolutely wonderful show about an aging Japanese comedian trying to beat difficult early Nintendo video games and some other systems later on in the series' lifespan. Super cool. This book is about Mina, who somehow accidentally winds up inside her favorite video game. She's stuck. She doesn't know how to get out, but thankfully, she's got the help of a friendly video game janitor. Security guard. Wait, what? Why are either of those there? What's up with that? $5 donation, you could win a copy of the book and certainly find out. Thank you so much to our friends over at Fangamer for making that possible. Speaking of Fangamer and Konami, we have a couple of beautiful little plushies here. We got Snake, we got Otacon. They are together. They have magnetic hands so they can hold stuff. Stuff like, the important things. What you'd think you would need in a Metal Gear Solid game. Ketchup. Because they come with a combined 3 bottles of ketchup, as well as a ration. Don't worry, it's important to the plot if you haven't played the games. You'll understand. These are just absolutely adorable. Something I really didn't expect is the hair texture on Snake here is really soft and nice. They're a $15 minimum donation, and they come together as a set. Thank you so much to Fangamer and Konami for making that possible. From our friends over at Thunder Lotus Games, the creators of Sundered, we have Sundered Eldritch Edition. It is a super cool limited run collector's edition. Limited print of them. Once they're gone, they're gone. It's boxed. It's sealed. You can see the light shining off the plastic on it. Comes with all kinds of cool stuff. Pretty sure it has the game's soundtrack in there, as well as a couple of collectible cards that have arts from the game on them, as well as an art book of the game. And if you have not seen Sundered, first off, stick around because there's going to be a great run of it later tonight, and you really don't want to miss it. But secondly, the art style in that game is absolutely gorgeous, and I am sure that the art in this art book is going to be incredibly beautiful. It is a $20 minimum donation from now until the end of Styx, but just as a reminder, we also have several game keys for Steam for Sundered, and those are only a $5 minimum donation. We got a bunch of them. Huge shouts to Thunder Lotus Games for sending both of those things our way, and make sure to get your donations in for them. From Iggy Zig, we have our absolutely amazing Legend of Zelda Overworld canvas. We showed it off earlier. It's like 10 feet long. It's the entire overworld of Zelda 1 stretched across a canvas. How could you not be interested in that? Click that prize button if you're on GamesDoneQuick.com. Otherwise, head over to GamesDoneQuick.com. Check out the tracker. Look at the picture of that prize. It's incredible. It's a $30 minimum donation from now until the end of Styx. So make sure to get those donations in. And now, everyone, I can't talk about prizes without talking about some of our grand prizes. Grand prizes, of course, like the amazing replica choice we have from our friends over at Heroic Replicas. And shout outs to Dave at Heroic Replicas for making this possible. I'm just going to let some of these images scroll through while I talk about all of the possible options you could choose from if you were to win. But keep in mind, both of our grand prizes are a $250 minimum donation cumulatively throughout the marathon. So you know what that means? That means you got to donate at least $250 from the start of the marathon to the end of it. So hey, get in, $30 now, get entered into everything I'm talking about and more amazing stuff. Get in $30 later, do that a few more times throughout the week, and you know what? You're going to be entered into both of our amazing grand prizes. Now look at all of these awesome choices you've got here. Look, that's the Buster Sword from Final Fantasy VII. It even has the materia sockets in the hilt. That thing looks amazing, and it's like 5 feet long. It's super cool. Functioning Zora electric guitar and bass. How could you not be excited for it? It looks so cool. It comes in a variety of colors. One of the winners who won one in past years painted it bone white. That looks so metal. I can't even begin to say. Seriously, there are a ton of great options. Make sure to head over to GamesDoneQuick.com. Check out the tracker for the full album of options and list as well. And of course, our other amazing grand prize from our friends at Skytech Gaming. We have an absolutely wonderful looking Skytech gaming PC. Every single part in this PC is top notch, from the 3070 GPU all the way down to the 750 watt gold rated PSU. It is a beast of a machine. Both of those grand prizes, $250 cumulatively throughout the event. Make sure to get your donations in. And if you have any questions ever about anything going on with the marathon, make sure to go over to GamesDoneQuick.com. You can check out the tracker. It's got all the information you need. It's going to show you all of the upcoming incentives you can get donations in towards. Incentives like getting bonus games into the marathon, like Paper Mario Stop and Swap. What's that? It's Paper Mario, but it's also Ocarina of Time. It's complicated. You'll want to see it, though. Trust me, we still need some donations to make that happen. It's going to show you all of the upcoming speed runs in the marathon. Speed runs like Sundered, like Pikmin 3, like all kinds of amazing runs that are coming up later tonight that you certainly don't want to miss. And all of the prizes that you can win by donating. There are so many. Don't have time to go over all of them. Wish I did. They are all absolutely amazing, this event. You gotta go check them out. Anyway, it feels great to be mobile once again, but you know what's better than me being mobile? Metal Gear being mobile. So stay tuned. We're going to take a short break, but we will be right back with Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops.
What is up, everyone? I hope you are having a lovely SGDQ 2021. I am your host, Sporadic Erratic, reminding you that it is important to get something to eat and have something to drink. Have you hydrated recently? Have you had a drink? I'm having some tea right now. I also have some lovely, lovely donations here, including this one. Including this one from Air Union, who sent in $50 and said, let's get Paper Mario onto the schedule. I absolutely agree. I really, really want to see that bonus run. So when you're getting your donations in for Doctors Without Borders, don't forget to click on that incentive. We are sitting at $33,125.12 out of the $50,000 that we are looking to raise. Y'all have been doing an amazing job, but we just have a little ways more to go, and I believe we can do it together. I have a donation here from Fallen One for $25, who said, was Sent talking bad about the Legend of Zelda cartoon? Well, excuse me, princess. I have a donation here from Jace Longstrider for $30, who says, so happy it's time for SGDQ again. Let's get that Paper Mario incentive so we can have more games. I absolutely agree. 1000%. Thank you, Jace Longstrider. Need some Paper Mario hype in the chat. Let's get hype for bonus games. Oh, I love this one. Imperial Ace sent in $35, says, donating for my favorite Zelda game, even if it took me ages to beat. I see what you did there. All right, I am getting word that Pythonicus is all ready to show us Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops, so here we go.